Hello again, Justin here. So, as you've just seen with Adeline, we've done these workshops all over the country. We've met a lot of teachers, and we know that the concern is this idea of student centeredness is a really good one and a really interesting one, but we just don't have enough time. So, what we've promised you is a tool for planning designed to work really quickly and efficiently. So, let's get to it. So, before we start teaching, we have to do our planning. But lesson planning often looks like this. There's a lot of information there, but it just doesn't give us the steps that we need to really get the students active. So, for when you're in a hurry, I'm going to suggest another simpler format. Because when we're planning for student practice, it's a little bit different. I like to think of the activities as being the blocks or the bricks that we build with. We're going to build our structure first, and then we can fill in the details later on. So, this is an example from a lesson that I taught a little while ago. I started by introducing the vocabulary mother, father, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, etc., and then had the students in pairs present to their partner, asking them, how do you say tia in English? How do you say brother in English? And then I give them a picture of Los Simpson in a árbol genealógico with the idea that they would be able to describe, who is Bart's grandfather, who is Homer's niece, etc. Then we had them get into pairs, and each partner had to describe their partner's family tree and draw it. So they had to ask and answer each other, how many brothers do you have? How many sisters do you have? And then finally, they got into small groups. Many of them actually brought out their cell phones in order to show pictures of their family. And that was how they showed me that they had learned the vocabulary. So, another way to put that, when I'm planning in a hurry, I'm thinking activity, 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 activity. First, I present, and then the students practice using the new vocabulary or new structure, activity, activity, activity. Now, some teachers will say it can't just be activities. Well, for every activity, you have to have instructions, and you often do a share or a revision activity at the end. But let's be honest. Ya todos sabemos dar instrucciones. Ya todos sabemos compartir. We know how to give instructions. We know how to lead a class share. So when I'm planning, I don't have to do anything about that. To select the activities that we're going to use for student practice, I like to think of the objective in the simplest way possible. So by the end of the lesson, what will the students be able to do? For example, in that lesson I just showed you, by the end of the lesson, students will be able to use the new vocabulary cousin, father, sister, brother, husband, etc., to describe their families in a group conversation. And you can see how each little element, each activity contributes to moving towards the objective. First, they're using the target language in a very simple way. Then, as they're describing Bart and Homer's family, they're using it in a more detailed way, and it gets freer and more realistic until the end, they're having a real conversation. Here's another example. So, in this class, my objective was that by the end of the lesson, students will be able to use used to plus a verb to talk about what they used to do when they were children in an interview with a peer. So, we started with a word search and then had an activity where they had to complete phrases. And then they changed the phrases to be true for them, wrote questions for a peer, and finally got the chance to interview a partner about what they did when they were smaller children. So, as you look at this, take a minute. One of the activities doesn't fit so well. So, I'm going to invite you to pause the video for a minute. Do you have an answer? Which activity doesn't fit? For me, it was the word search. Because in the word search, we're not really using used to, which was the target language. Let's look at another one. In this one, my objective was that by the end of the lesson, students would be able to use cold, hot, cloudy, sunny, rainy, etc., in order to do a weather report in a presentation. So which activity doesn't fit? Which is the activity that doesn't seem to fit? Take a minute, pause the video, and decide. Did you come up with an idea for which one it was? For me, it was this one, because this one uses extra language. It's going to rain. By bringing in the future, that makes it a little challenging because it's extra language that we haven't taught the students at this point. So, this is the triangle we've been talking about throughout this video. It's got a simple objective of what the students will be able to do by the end of the class, and then we present or introduce the new vocabulary or the new structure in some way, and then it's activity, activity, activity for the students to practice use of the target language. So, what do you think of it? What do your friends think of it? What I'd like to invite you to do at this point is pick up the phone or the WhatsApp or the Zoom or the Skype and give a colleague a call and talk about this triangle. See what you think of it, see what they think of it, and if you could give us a comment on the website letting us know what you both think. And thank you for taking the time to listen to this video.